All right, we're back. Good morning. Welcome to Pour Over Marketing. Today feels like the first time when I looked disheveled. I was in my robe. I had my coffee, and my voice was, I don't know, somewhere in the register of the back of a garbage truck. So here we are. Let's make sure everything is on, make sure comments are on, see if we're going to get anybody here today. I hope so, other than my mom just watching because she doesn't listen to me when I'm on here. Probably a good choice on her part. Uh, all right, we've already got somebody in here. Uh, please say hi because today we're just gonna chat some things out. Hopefully, I'll have people with questions. And oh, good morning, Chelsea. Uh, so Chelsea, as long as it's us, I'll start talking about Writers Row. So we talk about branding, we talk about promotion. Uh, There's a couple of things going on with this. First of all, I tried to get Writers Row stuff starting way early. It comes up August 23rd through 25th. I know you know that, Chelsea, but people watching this later wouldn't know that possibly. And we start putting everything in motion really about, I did it this time about 3 months early, thinking I would have an entire month to do the marketing things that need to be done. Instead, here we are 2 weeks away and I am still tweaking things, dealing with things that should have been dealt with before, but response time is slow. Uh, and this is something that I guess we should touch on for a second. It's really important, and I'm guilty of it too. It's not like I'm perfect by any stretch. Uh, but when somebody reaches out to you, try to respond. I do that thing where I've talked about with your social media how you should always have the last word. Um, you should also be timely, as timely as you can be, Uh, there are conventions that Writers Row would be perfect for, like just like PopCon. PopCon, we have a big effect on, and if well, that'll get into this. I'll get into the if in a minute. But then there are other cons that are like PopCon. I don't mean that they're pop culture conventions in the same respect, but they are conventions that if we brought in our traveling show of authors, it would draw people to their convention. It would put them on the map in a different way. Yet it takes forever for a response. Uh, I can think of one con that reached out and they were like, "Yeah, great, we want to do this. We're all in." So, okay, great for next year, right? Because they were talking to me a month before the thing. I'm like, we can't put this together effectively, do the marketing, do all the stuff. It's a partnership and we need earlier time. Uh, Yet a year ago, they had said, yeah, we're interested, and then ghosted me. And every time I wrote to them, nothing, nothing, nothing. A month before the show, yeah, let's do it. It's like, no, it can't work that way. And that's an important thing for us as business people, as entrepreneurs, uh, as marketers. We need to try to be as timely as possible. Uh, it's understandable. Like I have some of the authors I'm dealing with. I might not hear from them. I write to them. I might not hear from them for 48 hours. That's fine. If it's something really urgent, I'll write on there urgent. Otherwise, it's like, okay, we're cool. But then you take like a convention, you take, well, PopCon. PopCon is we love it. We do a great job with them. I love them. They're wonderful people, but damn, are they slow to respond. Here I am 2 weeks ahead of, before the show. I have a couple of major questions that I have written every day this week, multiple places, and I'm still sitting here. Now, do we need them answered to do our thing? No. Getting them answered might have a big effect for them. And that's where I look at this and I go, timeliness. It's a responsibility. Plus, think about missed opportunities. I've had people that I reached out to for something and I've had to say, You're just too late." and it would have been a better situation for both of us had you talked to me even 2 days ago, but you had 3 months. You know what I mean? So, I'm not complaining. I just was thinking about the timeliness thing because I know I've been bad about it too. I've got, people that I set something up with, and then I think I've taken care of it. I think it's in my head the right way, and then I realize, "Oh my gosh, I didn't send that," or, "I thought I sent it, it didn't go." It's what happens. Uh, I can understand that. I'm not one of these, like like The Devil Wears Prada, where she would not put up with you know what? I get it. We're humans, but these long stretches can be killers. Chelsea, imagine if everything happened at the last minute. How do you get your hotel? How do you get your situation together? And then on top of it, how do we as business people market it, right? So just a thought. Uh so let's see, yikes every day. That's something I find just as a single person booth at conventions too. Yeah, the lack of response. It's crazy to me. I mean, we're talking a lot of money. We're talking they have a lot of money on the line. Forget the fact, your $200 or whatever to get a table. They want to sell tickets. What is their goal? Their goal is not for you to sell books. It is for them to sell tickets. And the slower they are in response, the more likely it is that they're going to lose tickets down their funnel. Uh, It's probably so much more frustrating organizing something like Writers Row. No, it's really not. I mean, it's just bigger scale. Uh, Writers Row is really actually pretty easy. We are getting it down to a science, and you can tell if you look at the social media that we've been doing in the past couple weeks. We've added a podcast. It's got 2 elements to it. So it's got the regular podcast interviews, then it's got the 3 questions interview thing, okay? Then we have, uh, we've been posting it on our Facebook, and then we have Writers Row Facebook, we have writersrow.org is our website, which I'm for some reason getting locked out of. I've got to figure out what the password issue is there. Uh, then we have Instagram. We have Writers Row on Instagram, and we have Writers Row at Cons on Instagram. Two different accounts, two different concepts of what they're going to be. So we've been posting the interviews, and then this week we started building on it, adding the 3 questions. We've sent out newsletters to people that signed up for the newsletter with the 3 questions saying, "Hey, if you like these, go listen to the full interviews." I put all of this on rather than do it on Southgate Media Group, I did it on the Four Horsemen page, trying to build traffic and audience there. And then on top of it, yesterday, I was able to finally go in and start making the social media content that we just put on for every day. So we have the regular announcement from PopCon. There's one every day. Okay. We're almost at the end of those. Almost everybody's been put on. Then we have other social media content that I created yesterday. I made a different type of announcement for every single person. Then I made a reel for every author. So that goes on the reel section, which is important. Good marketing. If you've got reels, it can help. Even if it's a stagnant image with some music, it works. Uh, and then I played around with something special because we've got Paige Lavoie there, who is to PopCon. She's a celebrity author more because they're trying to feature her a little bit more because her books sell so much. So we're like, great, let's feature her a little bit more, just a little bit more in Writers Row, just so people understand, hey, she's here, right? Uh, it's a lot of moving parts. You have to have an order. We've talked about this before too. You have to kind of have not just a strategy. Strategy is where and when. You have to have a calendar, a roadmap to what you're going to do. And there are still more things we're going to add for Writers Row's roadmap this week. This morning I had a realization about it though. And it's tough. It's tough doing it all yourself. I wish I had, you know, Wish I had a team of 4 of us that we could brainstorm stuff and talk this stuff out and have somebody else spend a couple hours making stuff, but entrepreneur, right? Uh, and I don't wanna take resources away from, like, 4 Horsemen. I want it to be Writers Row to be a separate entity. So I've got some other content I wanna put out there this week, and then I realized, this is what I was gonna say, that I don't know if you guys remember when I showed the daisy wheel that I made that shows the types of content to put out. Doesn't mean you have to do all of it, but, like, in a perfect world, you would hit all the daisy wheel, and then you'd have all the types that I put next to it, and then you would have now you have a content creation machine, then you can have your strategy of when and where. Uh, One of the key factors is engagement, and I realized none of our stuff has engagement. It has calls to action. Go see them at PopCon, get a signature, do this, do this, do this. We need engagement. So now I have to figure out, how do we do this? Do we put polls up? How do we build the audience there? Because there aren't that many followers. We've got a fair amount on Facebook, but we have very few on our Instagram because we just kicked them off. So we've got to get engagement going. We've got to build brand awareness on those things. And I've got 2 weeks to do whatever I can to try to build some before Louisville. Now, remember, everything that we do, and this is you too with your business, you have short-term goals and things you have to do. You're having a sale on your your car. What was Bruce doing? Uh, Car detailing business. So you've got, for some reason, August 15th is International Car Detailing Day, and you're like, okay, I've got to have like a strategy and a plan because I want to promote things for that day because that's when it's going to push some big mojo out there. Or maybe it's, when I did integrated marketing palooza, if I was marketing that, okay, that's short term. Then you've got the longer tail stuff. And that's what I'm dealing with here, where we've got in 2 weeks, we've got PopCon Louisville. We're already putting pieces in place for PopCon Indy, which is in June of next year. And I have to build not only the marketing going towards that, but I've got to start figuring out, where are the holes? What can I change? How do I build this more longer term thing so that it's not just con to con to con to con? If we get a con in the middle, the machine should be working and we can add something in. If you do your car detailing business and you've got uh, International Car Detailing Day, and you're like, there's a benchmark, but then you realize, you know what? There's National Pizza Day or whatever, and I want to do something related to that. You should have your machine running. You should be building audience, getting engagement the whole time so that when you have that thing, you can do that little bit of extra and it is way more effective. So if I was an author and I was going to Writers Row, I would be sharing everything that we're doing, right? That would be a layup. I've already got content I can use. I would be promoting the other authors and getting engagement with them because what does that do? It expands your audience. I would be looking at, hey, do any of them have a newsletter? Can I get interviewed on your newsletter? I'd love to chat about this. Does anyone have a podcast? Let's go on your podcast. I saw a great thing happen with that Books and Brews, which you want to see some really interesting marketing. Go to their Facebook, look up Books of Horror, go to the event for Books and Brews, and just kind of analyze, like, what kind of stuff did you see? What were they doing? How did they present stuff? It was like a masterclass in how to do this, and it was an amazing event. So if I was an author at this, I would say, what worked there? And one of the things that I thought was amazing, this is what the point I was about to make. So I did a podcast for them because I wanted to help. I always love to help authors, right? So I said, how about if I interview authors that are going to be at Books and Brews? And I'll give you the audio and the video. You can do whatever you want with it. I posted it in their event page. I posted it on the Books and Brews or the Books of Horror page. Then I found out because of that, there is a group called Women of Horror. And I talked to the woman who the admin for that, and she said, hey, I'll give you carte blanche. If it's a woman A female author, female identifying author that writes horror, you don't have to get admin approval. They won't post anything but women. But they said, if you have an interview with a female horror author, we'll put it on here every time. And they have a huge group. It was because of that podcast that happened. Okay. So anyway, so I did this podcast, made it professional looking, had logos and stuff all over it, right? The authors got excited. And what I saw was some of the authors started their own things. Uh, Damon Max started doing he's a horror author. He started doing interviews with the other authors. He just reached out and he was like, "Hey, do you want to come on a YouTube channel with me?" And they didn't do it like I did. They didn't have music and intros and blah blah blah. They just turned it on and did YouTube live. Like, hey, Friday night, 8 o'clock, YouTube live. I'm going to have 4 authors that are going to be at Books and Brews, and they just sat there and talked. They didn't do an interview style thing. They just had like a round table and talked about stuff, and it was fantastic. If I was an author, part of Writers Row, I would be looking at those opportunities. The company is doing this. What can I do? Because I'm my own company to enhance that. I'm not saying this is a reprimand to Writers Row. I'm using Writers Row as an example because it's so close to my vest, right? This goes for anything. Uh, I directed a play in a play festival. It was just a short play. And first thing I did after we got cast, after I figured out what I was going to do with it, I was like plotting it out. I made a poster for it. I made a Facebook event for it, started sharing that, started posting things about it online because I wanted to build my own audience. Yes, the theater was promoting this thing, but I needed control of my business. So I did that. I used theirs, combined it with mine. I did it with children in a production I was doing. I know that sounds weird. Phrasing, right? I was directing a child's show, a children's show, and we were doing Wind in the Willows, right? And yes, they were promoting it to the families and they were doing this outward thing. What I did was I was like, well, I'm the director. Let's see what I can do. Uh, no way was I interviewing these kids. It just wasn't going to work. I'd worked with these kids and I knew that it was going to be chaos. But what I did was I made them put their costumes on, which their costumes, it was Mr. Toad and all that. I just had them wear those little funny animal rubber noses and that, not for the show, but I got them for pictures. And I took pictures of each of the things and I made them like portraits. Mr. Toad, Mr. Fox, whatever it was. It worked great. But I was taking control of my part of what I could do. So if you're somebody who's part of a group, part of an event, what can you do? We are going to announce, I'm hoping Monday, the panel information is going to drop. We have 20 some panels we're doing. Every one of them is going to have its own artwork, its own event. But what could you do as somebody who's part of a panel? You can either promote all of them, which is awesome, or you can say to your people, hey, I'm at this, and start doing things to promote that. Once again, add other panelists to your newsletter. Interview them on your social media. It doesn't, if you don't even have a newsletter, say, hey, you know what? Hey, Chelsea, I want you to come on on my Facebook. I want to promote that you and I are doing a panel. Can you come on and do a quick promo with me? Yeah, do that stuff. Now, take it outside of Writers Row. Think about your situation. Think about what you do, what you're trying to market, right? Is there anything like this that you can start adding in to build up? And how will you go about marketing it? Who can you get involved with? Because getting these people in expands your audience. Why do you think I'm doing Books and Brews and ink blots? And I mean, yeah, it seems like a natural fit, but it's because I know I interview you, Chelsea. I expect you will push it out into the world. What does that do for me? Well, it puts me in front of more people. So maybe somebody else wants me to do it for them. It makes my numbers go up because I'm now sharing your audience and my audience. Makes your numbers go up if you share other things from that because I have a pretty good audience. And if you're sharing my stuff, my people become more aware of you aside from a single interview. Wouldn't you rather get 10 bites of the pie than 1 because that's the one time you were on? Okay. What's it say? Oh, I can't wait for that. I was going to do a poll on my page for which of the panels they're most excited about when that drops. Oh, yes. Perfect. That's what I mean. Chelsea, you are thinking. You have the right ideas. The thing is, when you the first few times you do it, it's a lot of hit and miss, a lot of is this worth my time? Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But you don't know until you do it, right? The further you go, the more you realize, yeah, it was worth my time making that little audio clip or whatever because it added so much to the experience. And you also, once again, no matter what it is, you got to think about what your goal is, what you're actually trying to accomplish. Are you trying to put butts in seats? Are you trying to build brand awareness? Are you trying to sell books? What is it? So we have this is another big marketing thing I've been dealing with. Some of you may have seen this. I'm really regretting the fact that I didn't get a big full cup of coffee before we started. Uh, and I don't want to walk away from the show to do it, and nobody's really up and about upstairs. So looks like I'll have to take one for the team for the next 40 minutes. My blood coffee level is going to drop, so be careful. Uh, be careful. Don't put coffee near me. You will not get it back. So this other thing we're doing, and this is another thing where when you're looking at things you're doing, I guess we're talking mainly about events, but it doesn't have to be in person. It doesn't have to be. It's events, a sales event, a live thing, a YouTube thing, something that is there's lead up to a singular thing, right? All of these things kind of lead to that. And your position as a guest on it versus your position as the organizer. Good morning, Serena. I see you're in there. We should say hello. Good morning. Uh, so you look for the opportunities. What are things that you can do to enhance the experience, to put more money in the till, to build more brand awareness, whatever the goal is. And sometimes those goals can be multi-pronged, right? Well, for Writers Row, we want to sell as many books as possible. My role in it is to market it and run the panel room because we know that the panels can drive sales. Okay. But then there's another factor. We do need to try to make a little extra money because so far, an event like that is costly. And we would like to walk away with a little extra so there's something in the till for the next time. Maybe we can do a press release, maybe we can do other things, but we got to increase the funds. So that's a goal. So what did we do? Maeve and I talked about it, and we went back to something that we did with our podcast marathons that proved ultimately to be very successful. And this is the kind of thing, the reason I bring this up is I want you to think about it in terms of what you do, right? Where are these opportunities that maybe you can do something to increase money, brand awareness, whatever the goal is? So when we did our podcast marathons, we got really smart in like the third one, I think it was. Maybe it was the second one. And we started making banners and selling these 8x8 banner spots on them. I wonder if I can pull one up and show you. I bet I can. Anyway, these banner spots, uh, banner sample. I guess we can go with that. I was going to go with the one that had the person next to it so you could see the size. Yeah, there we go. I could show you that. So we put up these big banners, and there you go. That's what it looks like. So this is like 78 by 66 or 50 or something. It is well, it can't be that much. It's 4 times 8, so 30. It's 33 inches. I know that by like 72 inches. Okay, big banner that goes literally right next to the panelists. So when we had our podcast marathons, we were like, hey, we need to make some money off of this because we make zero money and we end up losing money when we do these events. Yes, our goal was brand awareness and everything, but that doesn't like pay for gas and equipment and things. So you do have to have some kind of income. Same thing with what we're doing with Writers Row. There has to be something to pay for some of the costs involved. So we came up with the idea to do one of our banners here. And what we would do at the marathons is we would sell it as you get these 8x8 spots and they go on the banner, and we can have a major sponsored by. That's one cost. The 8x8s are a cost. You can do 4 squares, you can do 8 squares, whatever you want to do. And we would put it right up next to where we were podcasting. And people would say, well, do you really get anything off that? Well, yeah, you do, because people watching the marathon are staring at your banner. It's going to catch their eye. You're trying to put that into their head, just like a billboard. Does anybody drive along and go, oh, wait, I need that QR code, or I need, no, they don't put a QR code on billboards, but if they did, but they don't stop to engage with that. They're driving. What you're doing is you're planting the seed in their head so that eventually they remember, oh, yeah, that's the restore hair thing. I see it on the billboards. Same thing here. This is a billboard, but it's very effective because they're staring at it for hours potentially, and it's right next to the panel, right? Um, but where it becomes super effective is later. Later, when people take, like, we did a podcast marathon at Indie PopCon, ironically, years before we got involved with them with Writers Row, and we took one of these banners and we put it in front of the door, like right next to the door. It had a logo. We made our own logo for the marathon at PopCon. It was really cool. And then we had all these sponsors, is what we said. And what happened was people liked our logo on our banners. So we had a lot of people that went and took selfies in front of it. People that didn't even come into the podcast marathon. They took selfies in front of the banner. So later on, you're looking through social media and I type in, the hashtag PopCon, and there's our banner like all over the place. It's putting that image in front of people's faces. It works. It works. So for Writers Row, I'll do it again so you can see. We're doing the same thing. There we go. And we've sold a bunch. This is not even accurate. We are pretty much full on this one. Uh, Hopefully we'll have a second one. A second one would be amazing. And this time, what's great about it is we created a call to action. We were able to put a QR code, if you can see that on here. So now you can see the book cover. You can get a blurb about the book. There's a review here, and then bam, buy my book right here. Now, granted, this book is at our booth. So I'd rather they come and buy it from the booth, but who knows? If they're in the panel and they're not going in there, I would rather them buy the book. And if nothing else, it builds brand awareness. Maybe they see Paige Lavoie, Mothman. They see, oh, she's here at the thing, or you can buy the book here. And then later on, she does a panel as an author, and they go, oh, wait, oh, she's that Mothman one. We should go see that. Even if they've never engaged with it, know nothing about it, right? There's a restaurant on there, Nick and Norman's. It's owned by Greg Nicotero and Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead. It's supposed to be an excellent restaurant, too. And they're great people. I talked to them. Not Nick and Norman, but to the people from the restaurant. Just really, really nice. And they bought a spot on there. So the idea is they can put a QR code which takes you to the menu. You can see, and that gets you to the restaurant. The restaurant's within walking distance. You're sitting there watching this panel. You're seeing a burger and fries that looks pretty killer. You're seeing it's Nick and Norman. You click on the thing. Oh, and by the way, it'll also say on there, use the QR code for a coupon to get 10% off or get a free drink or a free dessert. They've got something like that built into it. That's effective. Because I know I've been in panels and you got nothing to look at other than the panelist. It's nice to have something to distract your eyes. And if you saw food on there, you saw a cool image, your eyes are going to go to it. And you know what? There's a QR code. Oh, I should check this out, especially when there's a clear call to action to it. Now, I should say this. As long as we're talking banners, if anybody watching, listening, wants on the banner, you have until Monday. Time is short. It's not expensive. Uh, it's a very inexpensive way to advertise. You'll be sitting there. I mean, our panel rooms, there are panels that we fill that room. And this time it's going to be even better because we're advertising the heck out of our panel room. I have a feeling we're going to be pretty full. We've got some really crazy, interesting things happening in our panel room, different than even before. And we were told that at the last PopCon, 80% of the comments were positive comments about us, saying PopCon or Writers Row and the Writers Row panel room, best things at the con. 80% of their comments they got said that. We didn't have a single bad comment. This is going to be better. Our game is getting better. So you, as an entrepreneur, forget all that. I'm going to remove that. There we go. You, as an entrepreneur, uh, need to, or should be, need to is pretty harsh, should be looking for your areas of opportunity. So I'm a writer. We'll go with an event first. I'm going to an event. I'm going to have a table. What could I do? Well, my first thought is, how do I build relationships with the other tables so that people start sending people my way? If you have enough time and you're a writer and you know there's like 6 other writers there, maybe you contact those writers and say, "Hey, do you guys want to do a zine style short story collection just for the con? We'll each write 600 words. We'll put together some kind of cover on it, but it'll be one specific for this con. And the 6 of us are at different points here. They can pick it up even for free, just a photocopy. It's what, 6 pages? It would actually be 7 pieces of paper to pull that off. Okay? So you guys pool your resources to print those off. Everybody kicks in 20 bucks. Guess what? 20 bucks from each of you, that gets you a lot of those. You staple them together. You now have a zine that you're giving out for free that has this original stuff from those authors at the thing. Make them cool. Make them really cool. And give it away. And what I would do then is say, okay, we need a little map of where on the floor each of the 6 of us are. And I'm going to put that on my table. And that way, when somebody takes one, we can say, hey, you know what? The other 5 authors are here. Go get this signed. One's right there, one's right there, one's right there. And they do the same thing. Okay, let's say that works. Let's say that works. You could always say, hey guys, since I put this together, I'm putting the labor in. I'm going to talk to a couple people, see if I can get some kind of advertising on the back of it. Is that going to make you a lot of money? No, but it'll offset the cost of printing. If it costs you $100, how do I get $100 worth of advertising on the back of this thing? I bet you can do it. And the byproduct of that is interest, driving traffic to your booths. You guys do a panel together. You do some of that promo leading up to it. Like, hey, we did this project. Hey, let's do a Discord chat with the authors that are going to be at whatever. You're an artist. Same thing. Make a coloring book. Each of you do 1 page. Now look at your not even event type thing. Where can you do this? What are things you can do? So we had our podcast marathon. Pretend that's that was a store. That was a storefront, you know? We could look at it and say, "We're gonna put this banner up," right? That helps. We got a projector in there. Projector was terrible, so this only worked for part of it, but we were able to sell some we did our own ads that could play on it, and then we also sold a couple of ad spots. That was cool. That draws a little money in, and it's good for them. Your advertising is good for them and interesting for the audience. Who else is doing that, right? It's like we have TVs in Writers Row. It's very effective. People notice it. You're the ones with the TVs. Yeah, that's really cool. Great. That works. So when we had our marathons, we were like, okay, well, because Maeve and I both owned stores and retail, we stepped back from it. We said, okay, well, what are the areas of opportunity? If you take your panel room the way a retailer looks at it, there's a price per square foot that you want to hit. Now, you may have to do it differently. How many square feet are in here? That means how many newsletter signups do I want? How many downloads do I want? How much engagement do I want? How much money do I want to bring in? If I have, you know, 100 square foot room, not huge. What can I do with that so that every square foot is a dollar? I brought in $100. Tiny room. Hey, I have $100 more than I had before. Or I got 100 people to sign up for my newsletter. If you look at it that way, now you can say, okay, I'm a storefront. Where are the areas of opportunity? So what we did, and I thought this was great. It worked, but then the customer didn't engage with it. So I pulled the plug for the next year. But this was a con. One of the biggest problems we had, I said, what is an issue at cons? And what we brainstormed was at the time, these were not so readily available. Chargers, portable chargers. Now I go to a con, I've got one of these in my pocket. My phone starts to die, I plug it in, boom, it's great. I watch people struggling with these and they're like, oh, they go up to a booth. There's an artist sitting there. They go, hey, do you have a charger? Can I plug in? And then they'd stand there awkwardly and not engage with the artist while their phone charged. And you're like, what? So we put a charging station. We sold advertising. Somebody sponsored. They put a sign out, had their podcast. It was a podcast that did it. I put their podcast, their website, everything. And I said, this charging station was brought to you by blank. And then they said something, you think this will energize you? Check out our podcast. Okay. And then I had cords for each of the different styles of phone that were out at the time plugged in. And the idea was, and I would say it from the front, oh, hey, if you've got your cell phone here and you want to charge it, you can see the table from where you're sitting, so nobody's going to steal your phone. You can charge it while you're sitting here. Bonus, right? Great idea. The problem was nobody used it. I would still do that. I would do that in Writers Row. I would do that in our panel room. But if nobody's using it, there's an expense on our end. It's not worth. Plus, getting somebody to understand a sponsor, it can be tricky. That podcast understood it, but other people, it's like it's a harder sell. Trying to get them on a banner, some get it, some don't. You know, but the charging station thing was great. And what I've had people do when I've done some consulting for people in these panel room or not panel rooms, artist alley, or they do a book fair, or they do anything where they're at a table and they're engaging with the public, whether it's B2B or whatever, is get a couple of set up a little charging station for the public and put something like the only cost is you got to talk to me. People like that. It's no different than putting candy out. Where are the areas of opportunity in what you do? You have a lemonade stand. You're a kid. You have a lemonade stand. I mean, there very well could be a kid watching this that has a lemonade stand. It's like, we're doing it this weekend. How do I market it? First of all, hello, little nerd. And, oh, is that me? It's me as a child. Uh, but you've got a lemonade stand, kid. Where's your area of opportunity? What can you do? Now it's easy to say, well, expansion. I open another one. That increases my okay, maybe. That's an idea. I'm not saying maybe in a condescending way. I'm saying, yeah, maybe. Some people will add product. Oh, I'm going to draw artwork and sell it with my lemonade. Let's see what happens. But how do you tell people about it? Right? And what can you do not only in telling them, how do you expand what you're doing? We were in a booth at C2E2. No, it was Wizard World way back. Shoo, it wasn't even Wizard World. It used to be called the Chicago Comic Con. It was back when it was that. And Maeve and I were helping a charity, a not for profit that did gave cartoons to kids, teach them reading. I'm sorry, comic books to kids to teach reading. It was called Cartoonists Across America. And we were working their booth. It was just the two of us. And we had this idea for this zine, and we had been talking about this zine that we wanted to do. And we were talking, yeah, that was a long time ago, Serena. We're talking probably like ooh, 90, 89. Nah, probably 90. Uh, actually, there's a bit of a thread to this story. This is kind of interesting. So we were at this Comic Con and we were helping man the booth. We were the only two there. And we had been talking about this idea of doing this zine. We just thought that was really fun. And we had a whole thing fleshed out, but we hadn't done anything yet. And we decided, well, we should collect email addresses. Like email was a new thing. Oh no, shit, it wasn't even email. We needed home addresses because I don't think email was really a thing. It wasn't, now that I'm remembering. So we had to collect addresses so we could send postcards to them when our zine finally came out. So we grabbed a piece of paper, we drew a little thing on it that was about our zine. We said, "Hey, if you want the want to get on the mailing list for the Dead Elvis Fan Club," that's what it was called. Zine. Put your name and address here. We'll reach out to you. We walked out with like 4 pages of email addresses. We were there for Cartoonists Across America. This was not a violation of anything there. We were trying to build interest, build people to the booth. And we were like, well, let's see, number one, if we can, for us, collect some emails. But number two, it's different. It's something that we're not seeing here. If we put that out on the table, will that draw anybody? And it totally did. It was like an engagement thing. We had that out there. People were coming up and signing it. They weren't just filling it out and walking away. They would talk to us. We'd talk about Cartoonists Across America. Then we'd say, yeah, and then we're doing this scene. They're like, oh, that's awesome, man. And boom, we have all these email addresses. I'm sorry, home addresses. It's so long ago that you had to write with coal on the back of a shovel. That's how we collected it. We just had some shiny shovels there, and you wrote with a piece of coal. And we're like, oh, wow, that's your home address, huh? Nothing more than 2 digits. Yeah. How do I reach you? Well, you crank the thing and then you say, Mabel, I'd like to talk to. And yeah, no, not that old. Although, oh, this sucks. I am that old. The only reason I can say I'm that old, I mean, come on. I was born in 68. It's not that old, but not that old. But I was telling Maeve this the other day. My grandmother had 2 sisters. And when I was a little kid, we'd go and we'd, spend the day at her sister's with her sisters, and we'd bake cookies or whatever. It was a lot of fun. And, I loved them. They were a lot of fun. And one of them, we went to their house and that was their phone. They still had a phone on the wall that was the thing with the thing that you held up like this and talked into the little speaker, and you had to crank the side to like generate. They'd say crank it, you crank, and they're like, okay, you can pick it up, and it had enough power. Then you go like, hi, I'm trying to reach Dorothy, and they'd go, oh yeah, and they somebody was on the switchboard plugging you in. That's when I was a little kid. They still had that in this little town. How freaking weird is that? That I was actually alive at a point when that technology was still being used. Someone. We were the city slickers. We had a touch tone phone. Look out. Look out. Touch tone phone. No talking to Mabel. Okay. So anyway, with Writers Row, I'm thinking about those opportunities. I'm talking about it with Erica and with Maeve and with Molly and trying to see where are opportunities. We don't want it to feel overbearing or anything, but where can you be like a marketing surgeon and get those precise movements in? It's hard when people don't respond, when people aren't, and I'm talking about the con. Like, we have a couple of things that could really draw people to their con. Like, you could actually sell tickets based on one of our panels. It's that in demand and good, and they don't know. And if they do know, then why is it taking them so damn long to respond? Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Always have the last word on your social media, engage with people, and then beyond that, try to be as timely as possible. Don't let things sit for 2 months. Don't let them sit, especially if you've got an event and somebody, "Hey, I wanna be able to, bring cookies. I need to know if anybody has a gluten allergy." And you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and then the day before you go, "Oh, yeah, 5 people have gluten allergy." It's like, "It's too late for me to deal with that." Don't be that guy, right? Pick up that phone, crank the thing, talk to them. God, it's like Mayberry. Like, I was like one step away. It's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. I was like 1 degree away from Mayberry then. That was probably like 1972 or something. You see those movies like Conjuring, and you're like, Man, that's pretty rustic." Like, yeah, like I see the '70s station wagon and the clothes, but come on, they didn't have farmhouses that had a crank. Yep, they did, because I had an aunt that had it, and I was in there, and it was weird. A lot of doilies and things I remember too. Odd. If my mom's watching, this is the part she should have been listening to. she'll she'll be like, "I don't remember that," but she would be able to help me remember their names. I know one of them was named Myrtle. It was Dorothy, Myrtle, and I don't remember the third one. Beyonce. Maybe it was Beyonce. So I've rambled. I've had a lot to talk about today, a lot of lessons. I hope you are taking these in and thinking about your own situations, whether it's an event, going to a con, going to a show, doing a thing, or whether it's you've got a store, you've got a shop. What can I do? What are those creative things that I'm missing out on? Whether it's a Facebook event, you got a podcast. Look at this. I've got real estate. What could I be doing in here? Not to be a walking billboard, but to put something in somebody's mind, to get them thinking about it, to get them motivated to do something. When I was promoting our book, I would have one back here when I was doing podcasts. And then it made it really easy. I'd be able to pull it up and be like, "Oh, yeah, by the way, we have a book." Oh, I guess I still do. It's back there. I'm much more casual about it today. What are those areas of opportunity? When you send your newsletter out, can you grow your audience with purpose, get it big enough that you can get some advertising on it? We get a thing that drives us crazy because we have a lot of websites that we have the domains to that we've built like frameworks, then gone, okay, this isn't the timing for this, but we don't want to let it go. And so we get a report every month from DIB, which goes through and tells you traffic and blah, 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 all the analytics stuff. And a thing that makes us crazy is it does a comparison where it says your authority on the page, your traffic, your blah blah blah. This page with certain changes could be generating, and they all say different numbers. $200 a month, $10,000 a month, whatever. And you go, what? The problem is I don't know, and it does break it down, and they are pretty consistent. It's not like this one is worth 10,000 the next month. It says 500. Maybe we'll bait you. Nope. It's a report, and then it says based on these things, here's what we got, and it stays fairly consistent. It does change enough that I know it's reading it, that it's not just like always send this one, you know? So if I take that, those are areas of opportunity. Can I build that up enough that it's generating clicks that I can put AdSense on or affiliate advertising? And what's the area of opportunity there? Is it direct money or not? Take, for example, uh, those podcasts I just did for Books and Brews. I also do it on my other ones, Alley Chats and that, but I did these for Books and Brews. Actually, I did that. I posted that on Alley Chats, so I got the traffic on Alley Chats, but I did advertising on it. The advertising was all for my businesses. There was one for coaching. Let me help you achieve your dreams. There was one for, I think it was for one of the other shows. I think there might have even been one for Pour Over on there. Those ads were placed there, number one, so there's a framework. So if Serena comes to me and she says, "Hey, I've got this project I'm doing and I want to advertise my book is coming out and I want to advertise it so people can go and pre-order," there is a framework now where I can say, "Okay, well, I've got a 30-second spot or I can put a 10-second spot right here and I could just slide it in." Now I can't go back and do it to the entire catalog. I don't have that technology. That's a different thing than what I can do. I can go, okay, I'm doing 10 episodes this month. All of them can have your ad slipped in right here. Easy peasy. Because I've built a framework that looked at that area of opportunity and said, how do I build ads into these that weren't there before? Where are those areas of opportunity for you? Where can you have a free charging station to get newsletter signups? Where can you have a rug gripper? That was a big one when I sold futons. Uh, they had rug grippers to keep the mattress from sliding off the couch, right? And we had a basket of it right at the front. And at our store, I took over as manager and I told everybody, nobody walks out of here without a rug gripper. Now that wasn't 100%, but we got damn close. Number one, you could framework it as, well, it makes it a better experience because your mattress is going to slide off, so you want to get a rug gripper. Number two, it was pure profit. Those things cost about 30 cents each, and we sold them for $10 each, which is what everybody does. You buy a rug gripper out there, it's about $10 for a rug gripper, and you're like, wait a minute, I could buy the raw materials for about 30 cents. And we had the raw materials, so we were just cutting that stuff all day, packaging it and saying, okay, $10, average price. That's profit. You just added $10 of profit to every single sale you did. That's a no-brainer to me. That was an area of opportunity. So I said, we're going to do this with every single one. And then I taught them how to sell it. Tell them it's going to slide off. Don't give them the option. You sold a mattress, you sold a frame, grab a rug gripper, put it on the counter. When you're ringing it up, you say, like, you're going to need you do need the rug gripper. Here's what it is. Did you get a cover? And what they do is they go, well, I know I need the rug gripper. No, I don't need a cover. I'm good. Sold. Where are those areas of opportunity in what you do? You are professionals. You are looking at what you're doing now in a different way. It takes a little time to get there. But now that you're starting to grip some of these marketing ideas, take a look at what you do. Where are things and what are the goals? Do I want newsletter signups? Do I want sales? Do I want brand building? Do I want an ego stroke? Do I just want do I want some kind of engagement so I get better social media content? Because ultimately that leads to more sales and whatever. Think about it and think about where can I do something? And how do I build that with the people around me? I'm at Writers Row. I do I do some things. Hey, does anybody have a Twitch channel? How about if you have all of us on and we'll play a game together, talking and talk about how we're going to be at Writers Row together. And then we'll all promote it. We all send it out. Not a bad idea. If you're going, well, that's more time. Okay. Well, what can you do that doesn't take more time? You're already writing a newsletter. Hey, I'm going to send you my newsletter. I've got 4 questions. Can you just answer these? Make them short, 100, 150 words. I'm going to throw it in my newsletter. Oh, and give me where you want me to direct them. Is it your Facebook page? Is it your website? Is it your sales page on Amazon? What is it? And I'll put that in my newsletter. What did that make? What kind of time frame was that for you to have to pull something like that off? What did it add? Maybe a minute to your week, and I'm talking the entire thing from I sent a thing to them, boom, they wrote it back, I copied and pasted, and I threw it in my newsletter that I was already building. A minute, 2 minutes? You could find 2 minutes. Think about those areas of opportunity. Think about what you have going on, whether it's something where you're engaging directly with the public or whether whatever it is. I mean, you're watching this because you say you do sales and you are marketing something, whether it's you or a product or an art piece that you've done and you're like, I don't want to call it a product, but whatever. Uh, whether it's your marketing just to get eyeballs so that you can get enough subscribers on your newsletter so that you can get some advertising in there. Whatever it is, there are areas of opportunity, whether it's to co-market and build audience, whether it's to get more sales. What is it? So I'll give you another example. And I dropped the ball on this. Did you hear a ball drop? That was me dropping the ball on this. Another one where phrasing. I mean, geez, lack of coffee is making me nuts. Molly does this show, Read Between the Lines. She interviews authors on there. She gets some really great ones. And for the longest time, what we would do in her show notes is, and it would take a little work. I would end up having to I would go to Amazon. We got an affiliate link with Amazon, and I would put a link to get the book through Amazon. And then I would go to bookshop.org and I would get the link for that. The problem was I didn't have a system in place. So it took a little bit of work to do all of this. Then I kind of stopped doing it. And I realized I can go back and fix that. The problem is most listens happen earlier rather than later. So I'm going to have to start doing that again. But there's an area of opportunity. They've listened to the show. They've listened to this author. Daniel Krause is on, and they've heard him talking about his book. Wouldn't it be easy to go to the show notes and click a link that took you to bookshop.org, and you can buy it and get the book, and you're supporting independent bookstores by buying it through there. Or if you prefer, you've got Prime. There's a link on Amazon right there. Very convenient for you. You might have your book by tomorrow. Area of opportunity. We now can make a few pennies. We've never made anything off these Amazon links, but you can now make some money off of some affiliate advertising that is a byproduct. It's just a little piece of what you're doing. Do I consider that an advertiser on there? No, I do not. But I just provided value to my audience, a little bit of convenience, made it easy, and I get rewarded with 10 cents. And if enough people watch it and do it, 10 cents will add up. When you're talking 500 episodes, if you sold, well, there's $50 if everyone sold one book. But that's not how it's going to be. It's going to go more than that. And now you might have a revenue stream when you have that much that's generating, let's say it generates $1,000 a month off of this passive income because you took the time to think about What are those holes I could fill? What are the value I can add? And where's an opportunity that I can do this with? Okay. I've ranted long enough. It is 9. You guys, thank you so much for watching this week. I'll be back next week for a regular pour over. And then in 2 weeks, I'll be at Indie PopCon. Nope. I'll be at PopCon Louisville. I'm so used to saying Indie PopCon. And that Saturday, I'm going to do another live one from the panel room. That'll be a little later. Rather than 8 a.m. Central Time, it'll be at 10 a.m. Central Time. And we'll see if we have any guests. I think it's going to be better than last time because I believe I got it worked out that I can have my StreamYard on my phone and I can actually engage with you guys. And if I can figure out having a pad there, an iPad, it would be even better because then we can actually engage on questions and things. But we shall see. We shall see. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Subscribe to the Pour Over Marketing Newsletter on Substack. And yes, Chelsea, you're welcome to crash again. Chelsea, my constant companion at live pour over marketing. Yeah, you're certainly welcome to join me. That was awesome. And yeah, follow Writers Row on Facebook, follow Writers Row, and follow Writers Row at Cons on Instagram. We need to get followers on there. And when you see something cool, if you see an author you like, if you see Chelsea on there, which you will, share it. Help her out, help us out, and listen to these because these are really fun. And the 3 questions are different than what you get on the podcast. I try to have fun with that. So there's a lot of reason to subscribe to things and check them out and engage. And it's a hell of a lineup again this year. So there you go, everybody. Thank you so much. Have an incredible weekend. Yeah, you have an awesome weekend too, Chelsea and Serena, and the lurkers that are out there. I'm sure it's my mom. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great week.